Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of Iliad 3, and we've just seen this rather remarkable section where Helen has really spat the dummy, as they say, at the goddess Aphrodite in quite a fierce and vociferous manner, and needless to say there was a reaction of anger back from Aphrodite, and Helen has been put back in her box, and she goes off Sige in silence. So they, beginning at line 421, so they, that is Helen and Aphrodite, they went, now Hoti, so when they went to the very beautiful house of Alexander, Paris, then the Amphipoloi, the servants, swiftly traponto, they turned Epierga back to their works, because the mistress has come back home again, so they turned back to their tasks. But she, glorious among women, divine among women, this is Helen of course, Kia, that's that little verb kio, to go, one of the many verbs of going. She went into the high-roofed hups oriphos, the high-roofed bedroom. And Aphrodite, Philomedes, this is one of the epithets of Aphrodite, smiling beautifully or smiling kindly. So Aphrodite of the kindly smile. I'm not sure how kindly Helen thinks it is, but she, having taken a chair, for her, that is for Helen, the goddess, carrying it, she placed it down Antia Alexandroia, opposite Paris, and Helen sat there. Helen, the daughter of Zeus, who wears the aegis, the aegis-bearing Zeus. Klinasa, literally inclining ose, her eyes. Well, palin means the back, so perhaps downwards here. So inclining her eyes perhaps to the ground. Enipepe, this is a funny verb. This is from the verb eniso. Eniso, and it's a reduplicate. It's a very odd form here with the pies, and it's a reduplicated form as well. Anyway, it's from this verb. It means to reproach. You do get the noun, I think, enipi, as well for reproach. So she reproached, so this is a reduplicated aorist, she reproached her husband with a word. Eleuthes ek polymoi, there's an omicron elided here, it's a genitive. Eleuthes is one of these aeolic forms for aelthes. So you've come back from the war. Hos ophiles autos olestai. Thus would that you had perished there. Damas, tamed, this is from that damnasdo or damno root, having been tamed by a stronger man, who was previously my husband. Surely, now, there's an omicron elided here, which would have contracted to give you UQ, to boast. So it's second person singular. So you boasted beforehand that to be pheteros, to be better than Menelaus, who is dear to Ares, both in your strength and with your hands and your spear. Now, Ithi, go. So go now, and prokalesai. It's to call before and hence to challenge. It's the standard word for one hero challenging another, but go now and challenge Menelaus, dear to Ares, Autis once again, Makesastai, to fight opposite you. So to fight in single combat, to fight opposite you. So she says this, and then she changes her mind. She says, Allah, but egoge, I indeed, Kelamai, I bid set you, Pauesthai, to cease. Nor to make war, so it's polymon palemizdain, to make a war, to war a war, and to fight, Antibion face to face with blonde Menelaus. So she changes her mind. She says, well, go and challenge him, and then she says, no, but I bid you to cease. Do not make war or fight face to face with blonde Menelaus, with fair-haired Menelaus. Phradeos, stupidly. It's alpha privative plus this frad root, so stupidly, perhaps without thought. Lest, perchance, you are tamed. This is that damnami root again. Lest you are tamed, lest you are quickly tamed by the spear of him, by his spear. And Paris, in reply, addressed her with words. Do not gunai, do not, O woman, enipte, again it's that reproach. So do not reproach my heart with reproaches. So do not insult me with reproaches. This is the vocative here, gunai. Just a little word on the vocative. For the third declension nouns, the vocative is formed from the main stem of the verb. So the word for woman, of course, is gune, and the root of this, from which you get the oblique cases, is gunaik, and then you add your various endings on. And it's from this root that the vocative is formed, and they've just cut off the kappa. And so that gunai that you get, you're told it's an irregular vocative, well, this is roughly where it's coming from. It's just from the root chopping off the kappa. So do not reproach my heart with harsh reproaches, for now Menelaus, Enike's son, has conquered Sun Athene with the help of Athena. And I, you have to understand, I will conquer, understood, that man Autis, well, in the future. So again, perhaps at another time. For, the para, it's got a strange accent here, but you've got a verb here. So this is almost like a preverb here going with the AC. And parami is to be present. So, for there are gods present also for us, i.e. for me. Plural for singular. Well, then the book ends in a funny way, really. Paris suddenly finds that he wants sex, he wants to go to bed with Helen, and this is what takes up the next little section. But come, indeed, this is a duel, the two of us going to bed, let us turn to love, let us turn to sex, to love, for not yet ever, and this is a very interesting few lines here, for never yet has Eros, has desire, Hodi in this way, literally covered me in respect of my mind. For I have never felt so much desire in my mind. Not when at first Eplion I sailed from beautiful Sparta, Harpaxas having snatched you, and I sailed in my sea-going ships. And M again, I mingled in love and bed in the island of Cranaeus. Thus I now, in that way I now am in love with you, I now desire you, and sweet desire takes me. And thus he spoke, and Ake, he led the way, so going, he led the way, lekos de, to the bed. And his akoitos, his wife, his paramour, followed after him. So she didn't say no. Tomen are, so the two of them, Cat and Enuasden, this is that, it looks singular but it's plural. So they slept in the tretoisi lekesi, that's beds. The tretois has probably got something to do with the way the bed is made, with lots of cords, so it's generally translated the corded bed. So they made love in the corded bed, and then there's men, and then the de takes the camera back to the battlefield, to what's happened to poor old Menelaus. But the son of Atreus, Eoikos Theiri, like to a wild beast, Ephoita, was wandering around the un for Anna, up and down the company, up and down all the groups of men. That if pu perchance, this is is plus athrio, and this is the optative here, I think. So if perchance he might see godlike Paris, if he might catch sight of, is probably good here, godlike Paris. Al utis dunatot troon, but none of the Trojans and their famous allies, dunatot, past tense without augment, was able, Deixai, it's to point out, from date numi, I think, was no longer able to point out at that time Paris to Menelaus dear to Ares. Umenga philatity ge ecuthenon. And this again is a very telling line. For indeed they were not hiding him because of affection, if anyone might see him. For he was hated, this is passive here, for he was hated by them all. Ison probably, I think, goes with the Kari Maleni. He was like to Black Death, for he was hated by them all like Black Death. And Agamemnon, Lord of Men, addressed them. So this is interesting here, that even his own side are fed up with Paris. He's not held in very high esteem, as we have reiterated later in Book 6, when Hector has a go at him and says that he's not well liked. Anyway, Agamemnon, Lord of Men, then addressed them, Keklutimu, hear me. This is a reduplicated aorist imperative here for Kluthimu, usual, because it's Keklutemu, hear me, Trojans and Danans and allies. Menelaus indeed appears, the victory of Menelaus dear to Ares is apparent, I think, for that finite. So is apparent, and you lot, ek doti, give back Helen, Argive Helen, and all the possessions along with her. And this is infinitive for imperative, and pay back the price, or pay a penalty, whatever seems right. A penalty which will be also for the men who come after. So whatever seems good perhaps to you, and whatever seems good to those who will come after. And thus did the son of Atreus speak, and the other Achaeans, Epianion, these go together, they shouted assent. This is from Aineo, to praise in addition. So the other Achaeans also shouted assent. And that is the end of book 3.